Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Mike Vassallo. We are doing the second episode of Yeah, What's the Rate? For those that you do not know, it is our podcast platform that we just opened up. And today I have a good friend of mine, Nikki Friedman from Douglas Elliman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and do this after you took pictures at a listing appointment just a few minutes ago.
To get dog hair off.
I don't see any dog hair. You're good.
I feel
You're good.
it.
There's no dog hair
like
there. You're all good.
There,
You're all
but
good.
It's all good.
But I know you have a busy day and you have to get out of here to do an inspection in a little bit. So
yes.
Thank you for blocking me in this time. So to get right into it, I wanted to ask, and I always find this to be like the most interesting question, is how you got into the industry. How did you get into real estate? And, you know, I know obviously mom is a big part of that, but in terms of how it came about, if you could elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so if you asked my parents, they'd say that they knew from probably like first or second grade that I was going to do something real estate related.
Okay.
I always loved open houses, seeing new constructions, anything real estate. It was my go-to. It was my hobby as a child, I guess. When I had any free time, that's what I wanted to do. If I saw a sign for a model home, I was begging to go see it. But if you asked me 10 years ago, would I be in real estate? The answer definitely was going to be no. I really wanted to be an attorney, and specifically a malpractice attorney representing the patient, not the insurance company.
Sure.
And the doctors. But other than that, once I determined in college that I didn't want to do that, I found the real estate club at school, and then I joined that, and then it kind of was, the rest was history. I got my degree with a concentration in commercial real estate. When I came home, I thought I was going to go that route, and very quickly helping my mom, who's been a broker for 34 years, maybe 35 now, and with Douglas Elliman, helping her right out of college, kind of learn that residential was more my thing than commercial. And I fell in love. I fell in love with the clients, the industry as a whole, and how we could really make a difference in people's day-to-day lives versus it just being a profit for someone.
And you're still helping people. I mean, in the terms of not maybe being an attorney, but helping them find home ownership or selling a home or moving out of state, relocating or what have you. Exactly. I didn't know that colleges had, I mean, when I went to school, there was no real estate anything. So it's kind of cool that they have that now.
There's a handful of universities that have real estate degrees. I did an intensive 2-year program that was almost like an elective, and that was where it was the commercial real estate intensive workshop through Indiana University, through the Kelley School of Business. That is how that was created. It was based off of the investment banking workshop. I think I joined year 2 or 3. It's an interview process, summer work, and then you're there for 2 years, really focusing on your presentation skills, Excel and Access, which are still not my forte at all. But the presentation skills definitely.
It's just awesome that they give you that now in college to be able to kind of get that experience or a taste of what it might be if you wanted to do that maybe later on. Because I think even mortgages or real estate, I don't want to say back when, but even when it was not a thing that was really like pushed. It was not really something that was available or people were educated on, whether it was mortgages, real estate. It was more of a thing that I found like you kind of fell into almost by accident. So the fact that you did that and you're working with mom and stuff, and it's kind of cool. Madison, I would say, says when she's older she wants to work with me, and I'm kind of like torn because I think it would be cool because I see how you and mom work together, and I would love that as well with one of my kids. But at the same time, I'm like, no, you need to go to school, you need to do something different. But I think she sees like the socialization aspect of it, the living you're able to make from it, the lifestyle, the freedom and free time that we have, that, there's a lot of pros and cons. And I think that she sees that and is like, I want to do what you do. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
I definitely still think that it's important to go to school.
Yeah, agreed.
Even though it's not a requirement, I do feel as though it helps in a number of aspects.
For sure.
One, just life experience in itself. I think when you first get out of high school, not everybody, but for most, there's a period of maturity that takes place. And when you're 18, even though that's when you can get your license, sure, but I think definitely get some life experience too, because the
Yeah.
majority of people that are buying and selling homes are not going to be your peers at that time. And one, it'll definitely be harder to break into the
Right.
business. But you don't have shared life experiences.
Yeah, the social skills and stuff, and just the basic.
Yeah, and
yeah.
just an understanding of what someone's going through, it's not always butterflies and
Rainbows,
unicorns
yeah.
and
Yeah,
rainbows.
I say that, yeah. We make it
It's
look that way, but
yeah, but sometimes people are going through a divorce or it's an estate and
yeah.
you have to have some empathy for that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I said the same thing with, the aspect of when I got into the mortgage industry. At first, I didn't even know what a mortgage was, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I really didn't. I didn't understand how everything worked. And it was just, you are helping. It's not just so much giving someone a loan or, finding someone, this house or 4-bedroom or 3-bedroom. Like there's so much more that goes into it. There's a relationship that's built with your client about whatever their life situation may be. And sometimes it is rainbows and
1000%.
butterflies.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
it is, but other times it's not. And you have to kind of be a chameleon to the different, clientele that we might be working with on a daily basis. So,
1000%. I was 21 when I got into the business, and I knew what I was talking about in a way,
right.
but there's always still so much to learn. I believe when I'm 40 years in the business, I will still be learning.
100%, yeah.
The business is constantly changing, so we're always learning something new, adapting, and moving forward. But even at 21, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know how the people on the other side felt.
And how they took you, like how they looked at you. Like I had a
Right.
tie. I was 25 when I first started. And like I said, I felt like a baby. Most of the people that I work with, like, I could be your dad, I could be your mom,
Yeah.
And I would literally, I had a tie with, I'll never forget, I got for Father's Day of Maddie, excuse me, as like an infant. And I'd walk into real estate offices with this tie or whatever. And I'd be like, oh my God, she's so cute or whatever. Like I could be your grandma, I could be grandma or I could be mom. And I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, but that's kind of what the age gap was. And they couldn't relate to me other than them being maybe like a parent of mine or something. So it took a while to get over that.
Yes.
To now, it's like you said, not being able to imagine, 20 years from now, if you told me when we started that we would be sitting in a room doing a podcast, I would be like, you're crazy, but here
Definitely
we are.
not.
So
Yes.
it's just crazy. It's just wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
Eddie and I, we started door knocking together in 2017. And we knocked on the door of someone in Kings Park, and they were the sweetest couple.
Right.
We had been door knocking all day long. I think it was summertime, like end of summer, beginning of fall. It was still very warm.
Right.
And the husband, he was probably like in his late 70s, early 80s, and he was mowing the lawn. And we walked up, and he takes his head things off, and he's like, can I help you? And we said, well, we know your house was on the market and unfortunately it didn't sell. Do you still have plans on moving? And he said, yes, but I'm not the decision maker. She'll be home shortly and you can talk to her. So you can either come back or you can wait in your car. I'm going to finish mowing the lawn.
Right.
And so we got in the car and we had no idea what to do. We were like, there's someone that's not saying no.
No, right. Yeah,
right?
of course. It's
so
like,
we were so excited and we started calling my mom, who's of course my manager.
What do we do?
And yeah, getting advice and, role playing really quickly before the seller came home. And when she opened the door, she looked at us and I was 21. Eddie, I think, was 23 23,
Right.
maybe
Babies.
24.
Yeah.
And we looked like babies. We weren't just
Right,
like
right.
babies. We
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
like babies. And she opens the door and she goes, "You're the brokers?"
Right.
And we said yes. And she goes, You could be my grandchildren. Like I think you should come over for Thanksgiving dinner instead of selling my house.
There you go. Exactly.
And we said, no, we could be your grandchildren in terms of age, but we can definitely get this done for you. Right. And it took 9 months of following up with her. And ultimately we listed and sold the house.
That's
and they
awesome.
have referred us to 6 or 7 people in the last 7 years
Wow, that's
since
crazy.
that's happened.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Should really,
yeah.
once we're allowed, door knock again.
Are you not allowed to right now? Is that still like?
We're in a state of emergency still from COVID, so we're not supposed to be cold calling, and door knocking kind of falls
Really? Okay.
under that. So.
I didn't know that was still going on. You don't even hear of it anymore.
Yeah, there's still a moratorium on cold calling. So.
Oh God. All right. Well, that's a cool story. Yeah. I mean, and it's so funny, like that one. And look, if you didn't wait, or you said, "Hey, the hell with it, we're going to go to the next house."
Right.
Look what would have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a great story, but not even the story. Look at all the referrals that have come from that over the years.
And
to
they
come,
were
you know?
such nice people. The referrals that come from them are such nice people.
Yeah.
We have such
So they
good
talk highly of you and
relationships.
stuff. That's probably my favorite part of the business is the referrals I get from past clients because then you did a great job, and then that phone call it's rewarding, it's warm, it's fuzzy.
Yeah.
They like are excited to work with you. You're not having to like, I'm the best at this, or I have this, or I'm quick, or like you don't have to sell yourself on like why they should list with you or work with you as a buyer's agent or whatever. Like they know that you're the best.
Sometimes we still have to sell ourselves on it,
Yeah.
But it is always nice having that warm touch.
Yeah.
It definitely helps.
For sure.
Definitely.
What are you seeing now? I guess like topic of conversation this past week, the rates just dipped below 7%. I know the open houses have been absolutely bonkers over the weekends and stuff. What have you been seeing, like with sellers or buyers? I know a couple of our clients recently have just gotten into contract, and we've been working with these people
Finally.
for quite some time.
Congrats, Kyle and Cassidy.
Yes, I know. It's just wild. I mean, you just, going back for a year, 2 years, I mean, these people are just still chomping at the bit, trying to get into contract on something. And it's just funny that the interest rates, obviously, even though below 7, you're like, they're still high.
Yeah, so the inspection that I'm actually going to after this, I've been working with those buyers for quite some time. I want to say about 2 years. They had just gotten engaged when I started looking. They were engaged for like a week when I started looking with them. They just celebrated their 1-year anniversary in October. Right. So it's definitely been about 2 years since we started looking. And when they started looking, the rates were in the 3s, right? Oh, God. So, but they were not as financially, like their down payment wasn't as high as it is now. Okay. They're hustlers. They work really hard, and they've been saving, and they've been working so hard to, get to where they are today. The acceptable offer was only a few hours ago, and we scheduled the inspection for 4:30. But they were comfortable with the purchase price. But in 2021, I want to say, it was lines out the door. 25 to 30 offers on every house.
That's crazy.
And then when the rates went up, the prices didn't reflect that. So then they were they had to readjust their expectations, and they didn't really want to. So we were still looking. And when an opportunity presented itself, we would definitely go see it and put our best offer in and give it the best shot. But now that rates are a little bit more comfortable, they've saved a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah. Help offset that higher loan amount or whatever it may be.
It definitely helped offset the interest rate and get them in a position where they're comfortable with the monthly payment.
Yeah. I think one of the conversations I have now with the buyers, which I never used to have, is that, hey, this is the payment at this rate. However, we know they're going to go down. When, we don't know, And then 2, we don't know how much they're going to go down. But then playing like a hypothetical, like in the event they do go down, this is what your payment would look like. Because I'm kind of trying to prepare people that if you're able to get into something now with the rates being higher, I personally, and I'm not saying it from a sales perspective or anything, is that I honestly think when the rates go down, it's going to just create even more chaos. So if you could get into something now with a slightly higher rate, knowing that you'll refinance later on, I think if it was me personally, I would rather do that than wait for the rates to go to 5% or make up whatever number you want to then go out and be like, all right, let's go house hunting or house shopping and then trying to get an accepted offer. I think home value is going to go up when the rates go down, which I don't really understand how they can. But like you said, when the rates went up, did the prices come down? They never did.
Down. The rates were like at 8% in October of 2022.
Yep. And we just brought up the fact of the appraisal issue on one of your clients that we were thinking that like appraisal is going to be an issue. But what are your choices? If you want the house, you're now talking about waiving the appraisal contingency, to have your offer accepted over, somebody else's.
Definitely. The appraisals are huge. And it just depends, right? If you're going to waive an appraisal, you have to think about how long you're going to be in that house for, right? Because for that particular buyer, he thinks that this is his forever house. And we joked this morning because he goes, Nikki, I'm going to be in this house for forever. And I said, okay, if you say so, but I don't think so. I've been working with you for almost 4 years, and that's not the case. Now, 4 years, bought and sold multiple properties. I've become very close with them, and I know kind of their
if
thing.
you have that mindset, then if it is going to be your forever home, then maybe you don't really care what that rate is or what you're paying for it because you're like, I know I'll have the opportunity at some point down the line to refinance to whatever the house values are going to go up over time.
Right. It's just a conversation that if you're buying the house by yourself, you have to have with yourself and your financial advisor or with someone else. You have to have that conversation with the second party as to if excuse my French, but like if shit hits the fan, right? Will we be able to handle this? And
that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of clients now, like I said this last time, was getting really large gifts. We had a client that had to put down a very large down payment. It was like that was the only way for the numbers to really work.
Right.
So there's these huge gifts that first-time home buyers are getting to try to help offset that payment. And it's just crazy. It's crazy times. We're busy. And I said, it's busy. It's like busy work in terms of, yes, people are getting accepted offers and getting under contract, but you're doing more hand-holding out the gate of explaining and educating, which I kind of actually prefer because then when they are out with you and they are looking at properties, we've gone over all of this stuff. We're not first addressing it so that there are not any surprises of like what the payment is, what the interest rates are, because that's just the reality of where we are in this current market as we speak.
Right.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see what the coming months say. I think as of last week, they said June is going to be possibly the first Fed rate cut. So
that's interesting to hear. So a lot of buyers, I tell my sellers this all the time, right? The sellers in this market, in the past handful of years, they're at the helm of the ship. If they're looking to either cash out, move up, make a move, and they have to sell in order to buy, or they want to sell in order to buy, it doesn't have to be. They think that once they get an offer, the house is sold, and they're homeless, and they don't understand
where am I going?
Right,
I got nothing to buy.
And I've been telling my sellers this for quite some time. Buyers right now are so flexible. Either they own a home or they're comfortable where they are. They're living at home with their parents if they're first-time home buyers, or renting month to month, or at least with a flexible lease. Buyers are so flexible. So sellers that put their house on the market today, a normal closing, we'll call it, as an honor, about 45 days, right? But I put something into contract in February. We're not closing until the end of August.
Okay.
Middle to end of August. And that's because the seller wanted as much time as possible. And the buyer was okay with that as long as they got their kids into school before school started.
Yeah, which is huge. I mean, and that's why it's such a seller's market that they do kind of control everything, and they have the ability where you'll have a buyer that will say, yeah, I'll wait 2 months, I'll wait 4 months, I'll wait 6 months. I mean, just to kind of get the house.
When I bought my house, I said, just tell me when you want to close. I don't care.
Yeah. That's next year we're going in, right? July of 2025. Not this July. Oh, this July. Oh, this July. Oh, God.
This July.
That's coming up before you know it. That went by quick.
So fast.
Really quick.
I'm so excited.
And you're doing like the whole, what do you do? You're going crazy, like the windows, siding, the whole, what are you doing?
Windows, siding, roof, central air.
Okay.
And then we'll see.
All right.
I have to furnish it too.
And we're moving in. That's going to be our new digs. Like that's going to be
These are going to be my new digs.
How's mom and dad going to feel like you're leaving the house?
Oh, my dad's going to be ecstatic.
Yeah.
My mom is going to freak out. She's going to.
That's what he says. He'll be there every day trying to fix something. Yeah, of course. So he'll find a reason to go over and say hello.
But my mom's definitely. My sister actually sent like a reel of her TikTok the other day. It was a girl moving out of her parents, and her mom was like, I'm not going to see you every day. Right. And now, granted, my mom is going to see me every day.
Yeah, work, obviously.
Work together. Yeah, and I basically, if I'm not on an appointment, I am at my office.
Right.
That's where I'm most productive.
Yeah.
Some people work from home and feel that's best, but I
agree, though.
At my desk, in my office, constantly. That's where I get the most work done. And but people laugh all the time because they say to my mom, like, oh, didn't Nikki tell you XYZ, or vice versa? They'll be like, oh, didn't your mom tell you? I'm like, no, just because we live together doesn't mean we actually speak.
Right.
We're working so much that I get home and I'm just out.
You're done. You
or vice versa.
You don't want to talk about work or anything that happened.
No, unless there's like something that is really pressing that we need to talk about. I'm like, can we just like go like.
Well, she's done that before.
Dinner.
She's called me about something. I'm like, oh, I told Nick, and she's like, oh, I don't know, I haven't seen her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I guess I just assumed that like both of you, whatever, spoke to one another about it.
Rob called me
funny.
The other day, and he was like, oh, what's going on with such and such? And I was like, I'm not even on that deal. Right. I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I guess it's just expected that like it all kind of.
Yeah, it's hand in hand. If they see me, they think they're going to see her, and vice versa. And sometimes we are together, and we work really well together when we do work together on our personal referrals, family, friends, things like that. But it's really cool to work with her and to see the progression of how she's built her career my whole life.
For sure.
And I think that she feels the same way watching me build
yours.
my career. Because I'm 7 years in the business almost. It'll be 7 this summer. I am 2 years older than she was when she started.
Oh, really? Oh, that's okay. So it's like basically you're right in the same.
Yeah, she was like 26, I think, when she got her real estate license.
Okay.
And she knew no one because she was from Houston. So
I have a funny story about your mom. I knew your mom obviously before I knew you.
Yes.
And I did a big thing of, for the holidays, I would always drop stuff off and everything. So it was Thanksgiving, and I was dropping pies off at the office. And Mason was in, I want to say preschool or whatever. He wasn't in school, so he was able to come with me. And he loved bringing the pies from the car into the offices and stuff. And a lot of times, agents or whoever we were dropping the pies off would not physically be there, so we would leave them on the desk or whatever it may be. So I'll never forget, we walk into the office. No one's in there. Your mom comes out. She's like, "What? Can I help you? What do you need?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm dropping off some pies and stuff like that." And like, she saw Mason, and like seeing Mason, like she stopped in her tracks, and she's like, "Wait a second, don't go anywhere." And came out with this DE bag with like all these like goodies and tchotchkes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And literally, I mean, Mason might have had to been 4, maybe 4 years old. I don't know. He still brings it up to this day. He wants me now to pull him out of school. He's in 5th grade, and he's like, "Dad, I want to go deliver pies with you." And he literally remembered your mom giving him that bag, and he to this day. So it was like so funny. Like when you and I started working together, or whatever, I was trying to explain like who you were and like how I met you and stuff like that to put the pieces together. But it was just funny how it's come full circle.
She teaches you either have to be really good at follow up or really memorable. And she is known for being very memorable.
Okay.
She could work on her follow-up skills. But she is probably one of the most memorable people.
Awesome.
The Texas accent and just how
she's got a presence when she walks into a room. 100%.
1,000%.
Yeah. I was always scared of her. I'm still scared of her. Don't put that in this, Mike. But,
she won't bite.
Yeah. But I thank you so much for taking the time to come out, and do this episode with me. We're still in the learning stages of making sure we're doing this correctly and
My
everything.
first podcast.
Cool. We'll have to do it again. But
Experience.
thank you for coming on board, and it was a good time.
Yay.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.